It had GE as a founding parent. It became the test bed of the Indian outsourcing business. It's been growing between 14 to 17% and has operations across the world. It is Genpact.
It might be just 13, but Genpact has a history of innovation that has defined the BPO industry in India. It's an end-to-end service provider applying science to managing business processes. It has a similar approach to its CSR activities as well. It is a BPO driven by its workforce. This workforce is also the army that drives its corporate citizenship programs. Zinnia, Amit, Pankaj and Vinit from Genpact have all been working with these children in RTI Vidyapeeth in Gurgaon for a while now, and they will continue for the next 2 years. Through fun activities like this one, in which the class has to choose a leader, these volunteers are trying to help these kids understand concepts like leadership and teamwork.
ये महीने में 3 या 2 बार आते हैं और ये आके हमें बहुत कुछ सिखाते हैं। ये गेम के तौर पर हमें ये दिखाते हैं कि प्लानिंग कैसे की जाती है, लीडरशिप कैसे की जाती है और फिर कि किससे क्या फायदे होते हैं और किससे क्या गलत होता है।
Genpact is conducting this program in partnership with not-for-profit organization Junior Achievement, a worldwide partnership between the business community, educators and volunteers working together to inspire young people to dream big and reach their potential.
All volunteering from yourself, if people get motivated and they want to do something different from their usual work and self-actualize oneself, and specifically for groups of people who have done enough, seen it all, they want to do this kind of stuff.
In an effort to digitize and streamline the volunteering initiative, Genpact has partnered with Angel Points to deploy a web-based volunteer management system. This is an online networking system that connects employees across the world with local volunteer opportunities in their communities. Volunteers who sign up are put through an induction and training program, post which their interaction with students begins. And because this is Genpact and the focus is always on the process, project leaders manage detailed records of all interactions and maintain a progress report of each student. This helps the next set of volunteers take the program forward.
We have always felt that we are privileged to work in the economies we do. We work in a lot of emerging economies. We're surrounded by a lot of issues. All of us as employees are frankly representing a very small proportion of the population. So giving back just comes from that atmosphere and environment we work in.
Right.
But beyond that, we've really come to respect the fact that we have 42,000 employees around the world. The best way to give back is to utilize the resources and skill of these 42,000 people to make whatever difference we can. And I think that's where we've evolved our philosophy into focusing on employability, on education, on healthcare.
Right.
Areas where we have skills which we can then use very productively to give back. I think the second element I would just add is it's not just around CSR. It's really mainstream into the heart and soul of who we are.
Okay, now you have a situation over the years where companies have sort of voluntarily decided to give their time and resources to things like education, healthcare, which don't necessarily directly sort of impact their business.
Right.
Where do you stand on this entire debate?
I think to say that all we'll do is look after shareholder value is, in monetary terms, is extremely short-sighted. You know, we work in Gurgaon, for instance, which is where we are here. If we can't help the environment improve, it is going to impact us in some way.
Yeah.
And we can do it without necessarily quantifying the benefits we will get in dollar or rupee terms. So I think that's one. I'm very clear about this. Two, I think there's a lot of things that we should do just as privileged members of society.
Yeah.
And I think the role of companies has to be more. Companies play too big a role in the world to be compartmentalized into trying to make money only for its shareholders. I think that's a very incredibly narrow view and not something I will ever subscribe.
But what is the approach then? Because, as far as your core business is concerned, you have annual budgets, you sort of have short-term targets, quarterly targets, all of that. How do you actually approach the CSR part of your business?
I think mainly by, and you're right about the annual budgets and targets. So the amount of money I can put away for it is limited. And it will be limited by pulls and pressures of margins, double dip recessions, etc. What is not limited is the skills of our people. So we've just announced actually very recently a program where we said, every employee in our company can take a few hours off a month and we'll expand it to a day if necessary to provide support and help and volunteering help. We've done things like in healthcare where we run a fairly good practice which looks at optimization of hospitals. We worked with the Delhi government on completely pro bono basis. We've gone into, two of the biggest public service hospitals in Delhi and helped reconfigure the trauma rooms, help reconfigure emergency rooms so that our people can really help us and really help change how public services are provided in those hospitals.
It's 8 a.m. on the 10th of July at Green Park in New Delhi. Genpact volunteers and residents have already managed to clean up most of the market area.
Why not do a little bit, even if it's 1 rupee out of your salary? So we run a lot of programs which are global programs like payroll giving programs. Just deduct a little bit from your salary every month so that it benefits somebody. So this is really the key of our CSR initiatives. How do I engage the people and really get them motivated for these causes?
Apart from cutting its carbon footprint by 10% at its company sites, Genpact regularly engages in activities like this one as part of its promise to give back to society and the city of which it is a part.
You've got 40,000 employees, so clearly your resource pool is large. But how did you actually get them to buy in and actually believe in what you're trying to do beyond that, this is your way of doing good for a couple of hours every couple of weeks?
We've done a couple of things, although I will never go to the extent of saying you have to do this because I think that's the wrong way to approach it. I think it comes from the heart, firstly, and you have to appeal to that, firstly. Two, you have to have a strong CSR leader, and we have one. We have 6,000 volunteers right now around the world working on various projects. We're trying to take that up and double its size, and frankly, I think we can get it to 12,000 or 20,000 who will give off their time. It's not that we're asking for a lot. Even when you talk about skills and at the leadership level, we've had our leaders go to the hospitals, for instance. We've seconded somebody to the UID project for a year or two, completely pro bono. It's one of our top talent, and she's going to work there. Why? Because actually she wants to do that. She wants to give back. You don't have to force them. You don't have to sort of target for them. I think overall we must set a target of how many people must volunteer and keep increasing that. I think if we engage with them, I think there's enough goodwill there to do it.
Coming up, thousands like Kinari and Dakshesh of small town India are finding new career opportunities. They are the faces of India's rural BPOs.